Hey everybody, Greg Underdahl here. I am excited because today I am talking with Major League Fishing Tournament Director Aaron Beshears. I want to apologize if you're watching the video podcast. You see that I look terrible. I've got a crazy out of control beard. I haven't had a haircut in feels like 2 years. I was planning on doing a little bit of trimming, but we had to do this podcast sooner than we were anticipating or planning for. So this is what you get. I look like a damn woolly mammoth.
This isn't another fishing podcast. This is another fishing podcast.
My man, Aaron, I cannot tell you how excited I am to be sitting here talking with you today. I know that you're like crazy busy. And by the way, I want to say first and foremost that you have probably the most badass background so far of any guests that we've had on another fishing podcast.
I don't know. I don't know how your audience is going to take that. I didn't think my history was going to come up. First of all, I am busy, but you understand how high you are on my totem pole. Underdahl, you're at the top. You're at the top, buddy.
I mean, I have so much respect for you, just in general, and knowing that you've got, REDCREST coming up. You have the whole Major League Fishing season coming up. The Bass Pro Tour, the Cups. So I really, really appreciate it very much, my man. I think the world of you.
I appreciate the opportunity, man. We've been talking about doing one of these for what is it, a year now. And things just never did line out, and I'm glad we got to do it. I'm a little jealous of your beverage there right now because I am. We're fixing to depart for a REDCREST event, so I have a meeting set up this afternoon with the league and a few anglers. So I'm going to hold off on my beverage.
I understand completely. So for everybody who's listening to the audio podcast, can't see the video podcast that we're doing right now, Aaron's got a nitro behind him with a Wiley X wrap. One of the cup boats. Am I right about that? Or
yes, it's one of our league boats. We have cup boats, league boats that we pull to the event to use for operations.
Right on. So great. Is this you're doing this in your man cave in your garage right now?
Yeah, this is kind of my office. My wife and I built this house a couple of years ago, and my only requirement was to build a garage that is inspired by several professional anglers. You'd think that I'm a professional angler until you saw me fish, and you would really realize real fast I'm not. But I'm on the road so much with so much gear, truck and things. I've designed a garage with a drain. Gerald Swindle helped me design the drain.
Nice.
It's long, 8-foot, narrow, kind of like a pool drain in my garage, so I can rock and roll out of here.
No, it's fantastic. I dream of something like that someday.
Well,
so.
I solve a lot of world's problems in this garage, believe it or not.
I believe it, and I'm sure a little bit has to do with alcohol. Maybe alcohol is an important ingredient.
It does,
to that.
And not to get too sentimental here, but my life has been surrounded by bass fishing. I grew up fishing with my father and my grandfather, and I was fortunate enough to get a lot of their tackle, a lot of their gear. So I've decorated it with a lot of black and white pictures of me growing up with my dad fishing Oklahoma, Arkansas lakes. A lot of their old tackle things you can't buy anymore. I've got some old Ambassador 5000s, 5500s up on the shelves here. Their old tackle boxes, just all kinds of things. So it really takes me back, and it's a feel good place. It makes me feel good to sit in here and work, with multiple tasks I have to do with Major League Fishing, and like I said, solve a few world's problems with a ice cold beer.
I hear you. So it's really interesting that you've done that, because it seems to be kind of a common. Just for example, like in my background here, right? I'm doing something very similar to what you've done, or I'm trying to do something similar. It's something to me that feels very comfortable to me. I've always loved like old bait shops. I've loved to see the pictures on the walls, at bait shops with people with their catch. I love that. I've also loved old taverns, like lake taverns in general, lake bars in general, lake that are associated with fishing. So with time, I'm trying to recreate that in this backdrop in my studio here. So, and what you've done is it's funny how there's so many similarities with fishermen in that respect, where we love that. I don't know if you want to call it like a cultural aspect of fishing, or, you know, that we all have that. It's like a safety blanket. It feels like comfort to us, you know?
Yeah, it's. I kind of coined something. Somebody could. I make a lot of money on this, but I think if somebody would come up with back in the day, and everybody, you know, we all look back in the day. Back in the day, we used Ambassador 5000s growing up. I did anyway. Tackling. And any time that I have the opportunity to sit back and reminisce on back in the day when I was growing up, it just kind of makes me feel good. I've changed a lot. The older I'm getting, the more I sit and try to think about back in the good old days.
I hear you.
It just makes me feel good.
Well, it's you know, we'll talk about this a little bit down the road here, but, you know, you were in law enforcement, and I mean, talk about like last year being just absolutely bonkers for anybody who is in law enforcement. And back in the day, you know, might be provide more comfort than to consider what the hell's been going on here lately. We don't need to go down that road, but I do want to talk a little bit too. I've got a list of stuff here I just want to talk about. I mean, we don't have to cover everything, but I mean, you talk about a crazy year. We'll talk about just what the craziness of what it takes to be a tournament director. I mean, there's so much involved. Like, people don't have any understanding. Just, you know, the fact that you were a law enforcement officer. There's when you have this many boats in one area, you know, at a hotel, and you have equipment, incredible amounts of expensive gear, you're going to have law enforcement issues. I don't know how much we're allowed to talk about the last event, but there was an incident that happened at the last event where vehicles were broken into. So it's someone like you is like superbly equipped for everything that happens.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, but you're pretty, you know, and I'll say this, Aaron, the fact that you are a passionate fisherman, and what I have so much hope in this organization, Major League Fishing, why I'm so damn biased, is that, you know, you have so much passion as a fisherman as well. So you have all this stuff, and you have this passion as a fisherman. You have this love of bass fishing. I love to see it, and I see a lot of that in MLF.
You know, in reference to the law enforcement, I do not know. I was very fortunate to retire a 20-year career in law enforcement in 2010. My last 15 years in law enforcement was as a detective working crimes against people. I do not understand how the men and women in law enforcement are able to do their job in today's society. Still have a lot of friends that's in that business, but what's odd is you know, the being a tournament director, I have applied a lot of things that I used in law enforcement. Being a tournament director, you know, last year was my first year to be our tournament director, and part of my responsibility is lives, I believe, be it severe weather or certain conditions or situations in the tournament. I'm responsible for a lot of people. Looking back in my law enforcement career, another job and duty that I've done as I was a SWAT team. Lead on a SWAT team and led several operations doing that. So in a really weird way, you know, I kind of can relate the two. The anglers are, man, they are a breed all of their own at this level. They are very intense. Respect every one of them. I love every one of them. I feel like I do serve them. And I also feel like I protect them. I protect them from themselves sometimes. And but in the same manner, you know, if one of them kind of pushes the boundary when it comes to rules, I won't lose an ounce of sleep at all doing what's right for the league and for that angler. So
well, I think you know, I think the world of you. I mean, we've and people that are listening to this podcast, they probably hear me say that a lot, but I don't really want to have people on here that I really don't want to talk to and don't like. You know what I mean?
Well, that's a compliment.
Well, what I'm saying is, I mean, seriously, I want to, honest to God, I want to have people on here that I genuinely really respect and admire.
Well, I can't tell you how much how honored I am that you feel that way. I kind of feel like we grew up together because, I have a really odd road to Major League Fishing to begin with. But I believe in 2013, maybe 2013 was my very first event as an official. And I was literally, I've been in a lot of situations, in my life, and got out of that past life. And then in 2013, I'll never forget the first time I was in a boat with a professional angler and had a cameraman right there, scared to death. I was short of breath, and that was back before live days. So you and I kind of built a relationship up back then, and it's just kind of festered, I guess. Fester's not the good word.
Yeah, let's call it festered. Yeah,
I like that. You know what I mean? Kind of festered.
Like our friendship is like a boil that's very hard to get rid of.
It is. It's kind of festered and evolved into what it is. So, little did I know back then that I would be the tournament director for Major League Fishing. Some of the best anglers in the world. Still mind blowing.
It's really, really cool. I wanted to. So the first event, I was at the very first event, right? So I was and it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was Lake Amistad.
Yeah.
2000.
Real good video out there, by the way, on that with some treble hooks in somebody's arm.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember the name of that guy, but yes, that was a unique experience. And so that was 2011. I remember filming that and, just getting these like live updates, Aaron. I was like, to how everybody else was doing. And this is, we're both guys that we followed bass fishermen, since we were kids, And so for me to have been a fan of bass fishing and now be on the boat, and filming it. And now then in 2011 to now be getting these like, I'm hearing live updates from all, how all the other anglers are doing on the lake. And at that time, we had this satellite like dish on the back of the boat that it was where the seat pedestal, for the back seat pedestal was supposed to be. We had the satellite dish that was relaying all this information, go to the iPad, the officials. But I was like so amazed. I was like, this is the deal, man. This is the deal. Like, finally, we've gotten to a point where the other anglers on the body of water, on the playing field, know how all the anglers know how the other anglers are doing. And it was, and it made the day go by so fast. It was exciting. I was like, these guys are on to something.
Yeah, it's game changing. I really took being an official to a level that I was, now, I'm a sports fan to begin with. I love football. I love NFL. I love NASCAR. And Major League Fishing at that level is equivalent to those sports. And took a little bit of flack from the early days when I was over the officials of how strict and non-biased they were acting. But that's part of the game. I mean, they literally affect how that angler is putting bread on his table, so to speak. If they make a malicious call or do something in favor of one of their favorite anglers, they're affecting the game, and we can't have that in this league. So that's I'm very partial to the officials in Major League Fishing.
Yeah, no, and I've always, and that's the really cool thing too about all of this is that it's a family.
It's a family.
I've seen the evolution. I've seen the evolution in my own work, but seen it in boat officials where guys have just gotten better and better. I mean, the core group of boat officials are just hammers, man. They're, and of course, you were one of the first, and now you're the tournament director. That core group, and then you see this like new crop that's coming up too, and I'm like, this. I really, yeah. And I'm like, this is, I mean, it's just, it really says, it tells me that there's a great future, for this organization.
I'm the first to tell you, I believe with all my heart, Major League Fishing is going nowhere but up. It's not going away. It is the future. And there's just the best anglers in the world are behind it. And the evolution of the boat officials, mind blowing. If you look back at that event you're talking about in 2011, it's kind of funny if you pull it up on YouTube and see how the officials, they didn't know what an official was. No one knew what an official was. It just kind of evolved. Weigh your fish during a penalty, sit back and have a smoke break with an angler that smoked. That happened. I mean, that happened to what it is today. I will never forget the time that Don Rux called me prior to the Bass Pro Tour. He called me in 2018, and he said, I can't tell you a lot, but you think you could, we have 16 officials now, or at this time in 2018. He said, if we were to expand the league, do you think you could get more officials? I said, yeah, probably. How many more? He says. I don't know. He said, do you think you could get 40? Maybe. 50, 60, 70, 80, 100? Yeah, maybe. Well, he's put me on a mission, and a recruitment mission, and we were able to get that core of Bass Pro Tour officials vetted and hired. They began in 2019. All I knew to do at that time is something that goes back to my law enforcement career. I developed a Major League Fishing Official Academy. It was 3 days, and that's evolved I'm not even running that anymore. I've got really good folks running that for me. My assistant tournament director, Mike Jenkins, retired U.S. Air Force, is running that now. And you would be amazed at the things that the anglers come to us now, little things that you don't think about. They are so efficient. And Greg, you know this because you know how the anglers operate in their boat, right? They're so efficient.
Absolutely.
Little bit of 5, 6, 10 seconds, 15 seconds from an official taking his time to put his PFD on to not getting set down in the seat affects that angler, affects his game.
That's right.
So the anglers have worked with me to develop the best boat academy. We do actual mock practicals in the parking lot during this academy, timed practicals on how fast they get fish entered, how fast they weigh a fish, how the scale's zeroed, and all that. So it's just a lot more to it than calling out a weight and giving the score.
So I've got a picture up right now of you teaching at the training academy. Looks like a good number of anglers there. The place is packed.
Officials?
Yeah, boat officials at the training academy.
May have been 2019.
Okay.
Probably.
Yeah. So what is let's go through what is involved to be a boat official. What are the requirements? Number one, tell me about a typical day, and then how do guys, if they're interested in being a boat official, how do they do it?
Well, we recruit, and again, I'm not over that anymore. Mike Jenkins is our assistant tournament director, who's over the officials now, but he does a recruitment once a year towards the end of the year if we need any. Generally, individuals that are retired, have a lot of time on their hands, that are fishermen that have the love for fishing, love for the sport, they inquire about being an official. We need consistency, so it's not like a Marshall program where we roll into a town and ask volunteers to come and officiate. So the large majority of our officials travel with the Bass Pro Tour and the league, and they go to at least probably 75% of the events. So, the league does pay for per diem and their lodging and their fuel, but it's not a paid position. A lot of people have a misconception that the MLF official is a paid position that can quit their job. Not yet, but it's certainly on our radar.
Yeah.
It started out like the NFL officials did. I actually researched that, spoke with some NFL officials back in August of 1920. It's part of how I first opened up our academy. A group of individuals sat down and developed what was going to be a National Football League official and referee.
Okay.
That's kind of how MLS started.
Okay.
That as far as the officials go.
Okay. So the crazy thing, so tell me, just to set this up, because at first, how many boat officials did we need for the cups? Like how many we were doing? At the most we were doing, I remember this very well too. Like I remember, like in 2011 we had one event, if I'm not mistaken. Then it seemed to kind of incrementally the next year. Then we had 2 events. Yep. And in my head, dude, I was always like, oh man, it would be the greatest thing to just, first of all, can you see how crazy out of control my hair is, Aaron? I mean, my beard, it's super cold up here in Minnesota right now. It's like our whole week.
Super cold?
Dude, it's negative 10 out right now.
Okay, well, it's going to be that here in Arkansas and in Texas, incidentally, where we're leaving for in a couple of days. We're not used to this. I mean, I can't tell you how much bread and milk we went and bought. It's unbelievable. Blame
Canada.
No comment.
Yeah, it's their air.
I think it's global warming. I don't know what it is.
It's Canadian air to blame, and it's so that you can blame the Canadians for this.
It's going to be warmer in Canada than it is in Texas.
Yeah, it's unreal. It's unreal. So basically, I'm just bundled up. I got another extra layer of fur on my face, and I actually got neck hair now. I'm growing that out. I'm trying to go full abominable snowman up here just to be able to handle this, because in my basement down here is like it's freezing. So, but my point in this, I think I can try to remember where I was going here, Aaron.
The evolution of the MLF and 1 event to 2 events.
Exactly. So what was it, 2018, maybe the fall of 2018, I started to hear kind of some rumblings, right, of like this, we're really expanding. Was that right, fall of 2018?
Yes.
Did I have that right?
Yes, they initially started with 1 event in 2011 to 2 cup events. Then another group of anglers really showed interest, so they developed what were called back then the selects. So another initial group of 24 anglers came in, and that's the very first year I officiated and got hired with MLF was in 2013, I believe. Our very first event was in Muskogee, Oklahoma, that I had officiated. So
that was on Fort Gibson, right?
That was it was 10 Killer, Fort Gibson, that little chain of lakes through there, Hudson, I believe. Anyway, there were some rumblings that we may expand to a full-blown tour in the future. So there were rumblings, and here we are today.
So I'll just never forget, like, just hearing about this expansion, like a tour, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this could be exactly what I was hoping for, to have, to have an event like every month, and
more than one.
and I mean, as a freelance videographer, there are selfish reasons involved there, of course. But also just the fact that I love doing this gig, and I love the people. I've worked with the production staff since 2006, actually, 2005, fall of 2005.
Great producers and production staff.
Yeah, so just to hear these rumblings, but what had to happen, right, in the fall of 2018 to make the Bass Pro Tour. Now I got this timing right. Right, that's right.
Yes.
So to get the Bass Pro Tour up and running as a full-fledged tour with live technology what was it? February was the first event, 2019. Was that right?
I believe it was February in Florida. I'll never forget.
And it was just nuts to be able to pull that off, dude. Tell me about the stress of that.
The behind the scenes things that a lot of people don't know that went on in that event is mind blowing. First of all, we didn't know what a Bass Pro Tour event was. What we knew were cup events. So we, the operations team went into that event like it was just a souped up cup event. Well, it's not. It's a whole different animal from doing the boat to boat camera transfers. It's very, very important part of keeping the fans engaged in the game of Major League Fishing is putting the cameramen in the boats where the anglers are catching fish. So there's a whole art to that. We even teach that in the Boat Officials Academy. They're responsible for that, by the way. We'll take 12 of our officials and assign them to what we call the chaos crew. And that's their responsibility is to take care of the boat-to-boat camera transfers or the drone shots and all that. And there's an art to that.
How did you come up with the name Chaos?
Don't give me the line. The guy that's over that cruise, Mike McCormick, and he came up with that name. It actually stands for something, camera, and it's very technical. However, that position is very chaotic.
Right.
So especially when you're dealing with Randy White on the phone wanting to go get this cameraman and get him out of that boat, and it's 12 inches of water. He doesn't care.
It can be chaos.
Run that boat back there, get the guy out of one boat, take him to another one as fast as he can to get the fans engaged in the game. They see the score tracker going, they just want to see the angler catching them. So it's chaotic, but it's interesting to say the least. But back to that first event, we didn't know what a Bass Pro Tour was. We didn't have a command center. We just kind of operated it like the Cup. Greg, on our Cups, we'll have somebody in a vehicle at the boat ramp that's kind of conducting the information dispersed to the officials, right? And then another person will be over here in their vehicle on a score tracker. That's on a Cup event when you're only dealing with 10 anglers. But with 40 anglers, we had really fast realized that we need an operations center, a command center, nicknamed it the War Room. Because in Florida, I felt, no offense to anybody, any veterans, but it was almost like a little war in there because it was so chaotic. And anyway, now we have a command center where Randy White orchestrates all of the production functions out. We have a great studio in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where he's online with our commentators in Tulsa. And then we use a very high-end weather operations center that NBA or virtually almost every professional sport that I've researched uses this weather operations center out. They're actually out of Norman, Oklahoma, but we have a designated meteorologist that's assigned to our event, and we try to treat that body of water like a ball field.
I love that. And can I just say, you've heard me in the past. I've been my typical opinionated self when we've had some weather situations, and lightning, and I'm a big wuss, when it comes to lightning. But I will say this, man, you guys, I really, really appreciate it. You've always been very open to hearing what I have to say in that regard, and you guys have elevated the sport of. If we're going to call this a damn sport, let's act like it. Let's act like. And so you take severe weather. It's like golf, man. If there's any lightning, it's like people get out of there, or a ball game. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Thank you for elevating the sport and taking severe weather, lightning in particular. We all know as camera guys that there's danger to this job. Okay, we are willing to take a certain amount of risk, but. I think I speak for all the camera guys, and I know a lot of boat officials, and I know a lot of anglers feel the same way I do, that it's about time that the sport did something about severe weather. And the fact that you guys have a dedicated weatherman, it's out of Norman, Oklahoma. If you're a weather nerd like I am, I'm scared of lightning, but I love it too. But I just like to be, protected from it. But Norman, Oklahoma is like they're severe weather. There's no better severe weather like headquarters because of all the tornado. Exactly. So I just wanted to say that, because it's super important. Like, everybody talks about Major League Fishing being innovators with the score tracker and and what they're doing with live. But I think you guys, there needs to be more attention on just what you're doing in that respect too.
Yeah, behind the scenes, it's not just one. This is a center, a very large center that's located in Norman, Oklahoma, that has multiple meteorologists. They also utilize things that aren't open to public. They use certain satellite imagery and things that's provided from NASA. They use not only weather things that we can pull up publicly, but they use a lot of they have a lot of tools in their toolbox. And for instance, I've already been online with the individuals that are assigned to our REDCREST, talking about the severe weather, precipitation and things that's headed our way to Texas. But from the aspect of lightning, that we're far ahead of the game utilizing this center, just like the NFL does or NASCAR. It's the same organization. And whenever they see something that's approaching, they'll contact me and try to give me the best determination of when it's going to get into our playing field. The great technology that we have with Major League Fishing is we know where every angler is with our stat unit. We watch it in real time. And there'll be, Greg, you've got experience with this, but we may be on a really large body of water. We may have one angler in one little creek, okay? And just a little bit of a cell will come over that angler that puts him in danger, puts the official or the cameraman in danger, and we'll shut the whole event down. Yeah. All lines out at the same time, just like all drivers off the track, all players off the field at once. We're able to do that with that weather center and then let them go back to the game when things are safe. So it puts us at a totally different level.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's just another example of how Major League Fishing has elevated the sport of bass fishing. I have been a huge fan of the sport ever since I was probably 14, 15. Mm-hmm. And to see...
A couple years ago, anyway?
Yeah, it was... I don't know, a couple, 3-4 years ago. I'm still very, very youthful. But it's pretty badass to be a part of an organization, to be right there in the beginning, and to be a part of an organization that is saying, you know what, we have a love, like so many people in leadership positions in this company have a passion for this sport, and they're saying, listen, we believe this is a real sport. We're going to treat it like a real sport. And I love seeing that. I mean, I see it throughout the whole, I don't know everybody in the leadership. I know a lot of guys, and it's pretty badass to think of that, just how many people I know in top leadership positions in Major League Fishing. And know, first of all, that they're super competent, but they also are passionate. I feel like if you have passion, if you're super competent and you've got passion behind it, you're going to be even that more successful. So
it amazes me. We have a bi-weekly leadership meeting, and there's probably 35 or 40 individuals on this meeting every other week. And I just have to sit back and look at the individuals on this meeting. We have the best people in the industry working for Major League Fishing, from the sales teams to over sponsors to production, producers to you name it. And that's why I feel that it's unstoppable. I really do.
Yeah,
we're a family too, though.
That's exactly right. And
hold on just a second. Let me just talk for a second.
Are you going to get emotional?
We had some bad weather. We had some bad weather in South Carolina, didn't we?
Yes. I talked about that on the last podcast. How that was a brutal. Dude,
it was. And
it was brutal.
We had a few little minor shutdowns, so it made the days longer, right?
That's right. So but you got it, man. And this is what's that, Aaron?
Who took care of having the camera operators supper when they got back?
You did. You and thank you for that. It's another example. I pinch myself sometimes. Because dude, if you knew what I've been through, I love fishing so much, and I grew up watching fishing shows, and so that's why I do this. I like to do a lot of different things, but why I put myself on a boat and I carry a camera on my shoulder all day is because I love fishing and I love capturing fishing. And
their cameras are so heavy too.
Yeah, well, they've gotten lighter, thankfully, but they're still heavy. But so for you, it was such a grueling shoot. It was so cold. The first 2 days it rained nonstop, and I honestly it was. But at the same time, I know that when I used to watch, way back in the day, the old Bob Cobb Bassmaster show, that's what really hooked me on bass fishing.
I had it all on VCR tapes.
Yeah, I think I still have. Yeah, I think I still have some in my storage closet over here. Bass
Tommy Biffle and his little shorts, his little short shorts. All those. I've got all those, man. That's what got me into fishing.
What's great? It was crazy, Aaron, and this is why I feel so excited to be a part of that, is because we're doing the same. There's a new crop of young anglers, We're doing the same thing for them. We're doing the same exact thing for them. And so I know that, when I'm serious.
I'm not going to wear shorts like Biffle did.
I'm not doing that. But I've worn some really stupid stuff that was completely because I was watching the Bassmasters show. Like I could show. I'll send you some pictures sometime. But
I already have them.
Yeah, you've probably seen my senior photo. But no, it's just So I guess my original point was, going through a grueling tournament like that, filming it, documenting it. To me, with the weather, the cold, the rain, those add drama to a story. And as much of a struggle it is to capture that, to me, the thing that's really great about our sport is that we have those we have those weather elements that add another layer to the drama.
It definitely adds a layer to the anglers and to their strategy and all that. But man, it's tough being on the sidelines. I say it's tough. I was actually at Waffle House enjoying an omelet. But hey, it sucks to be at the top. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm teasing. I really felt, man, that it's going to be a long day. You guys are going to be out there another hour and 40 minutes, I think, longer than you should have been. So. So I'll tell you what Aaron was very nice to do. Aaron, he knew that the camera guys were out there longer than normal, and he with the officials.
And what's that?
With the officials.
With the officials. So the camera guys, he had gotten us pizzas from Hungry Howie's. If you've never had Hungry Howie's pizza. They've
good.
got it's like kind of a southeastern thing, but they come up in, I think they're in Wisconsin too. They're not here in Minnesota yet, I don't think. But amazing pizza, amazing crust. I'm not looking for a sponsorship deal. I'm just saying, Aaron got us
amazing
a bunch
sandwiches. Do you remember the sandwiches?
I did. I ate one, but
unbelievable.
The bread that they're using is like, I don't know what they're dipping it in, like this some kind of a marinated like butter. Like all kinds, but it's really good.
I ordered out all week. That's what I ate the majority of the week, were their sandwiches.
Yeah, it was a very nice gesture, and thank you for that. Just another reason why you're one of my favorite people.
Oh, well, I appreciate it, but I felt sorry for you guys having to be out there and endure that. The anglers are up moving around and fishing, and they weren't as miserable as you guys. You're especially even the officials. It was a miserable event as far as weather, but they caught fish when we came out of there. So
yeah,
now we're faced with the little issue with REDCREST.
So yeah, tell me about what's going on there. So we've got REDCREST. We're basically recording this podcast about a week out before REDCREST. And so
yes.
Tell me as far as what you're comfortable saying, of course, but on that weather front, you've got something developing right now that's another reason why I'm so appreciative that you've got this little window to talk, because you're a bit stressed out, I would imagine, with this potential weather situation that might affect REDCREST coming up.
Well, it's affecting travel basically. I think once the event begins, we're going to have a balmy. Actually, the letter I wrote to the league was we can look forward to some balmy 52-degree weather on competition day one.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah, it's wonderful. But I'm just kind of trying to stay ahead of the front for travel purposes. We have a lot of assets going to that event. Our officials are pulling our boats, our league boats. I pull this one, and we're trying to just stay ahead of that. Maybe adjust their travel dates, things like that.
So you please feel free, if you need to bail at any time, just let me know, and because I can I can talk your ear off, and we can talk we can talk each other's ears off. I know we've done it.
Yeah, we've done it, absolutely.
So
we've been in the boat quite a bit together.
That's I know. Let's talk about that a little bit. Like, what do you remember is like
not everything. We can't talk everything.
Well, I know we got to be careful, but I will say, like, for some of my social media, you have been a wonderful still photographer for me to capture, as with me filming, you've been able to capture 1 or 2 photos as I'm filming. Like back in the day, in like the cup events, of course, I'd have to wait before I shared it to social media because this wasn't a lot, you know. But I do want to thank you for doing that.
Now, the heroes, you know, the anglers are the anglers. The heroes in the sport are the cameraman and the officials.
Yes, exactly. And, they need to be documented.
The officials get documented, but the cameramen doing their job don't. And it really makes some really cool shots. So I started doing that for Westfall, my man Rick Westfall.
Yeah.
And so every time I saw you guys making a really cool shot, I'd like to take a photograph of it and text it to you so you can post it.
Yeah, so much love for doing that. But what do you think was like what was the first event we did together? So you started in 2013.
Yeah.
Do you remember where that was?
I'm blacked out for maybe the first 3 events.
I can understand. It's tough.
I've got so many stories. I read the rules black and white. You know, I thought I knew them, and I'll never forget the one of our rules was a second line rule. Right, we still had that second line. Well, that rule was intended for, let's say, an angler is fishing a boat dock or something, and he gets hung up. It's a really good spot. Well, he can lay that rod down and pick up another bait and toss it in there one time per period without a penalty. Okay. Or if he's fishing something and the fish start blowing up over here to the left, schooling, he can just throw his rod down, pick up a topwater or something and fire it to him really fast and try to catch schooling fish. That's why that second line. Well, the way the rule was written, I don't remember exactly how it was written, but basically I was with Keith Combs, my man Keith Combs. I don't know if you'll remember this or not, but he's fishing a boat dock. I even recall where we were, but he's fishing a boat dock, maybe in my first event, so it would have been Muskogee. But anyway, he gets hung up, and he says, "Hey, I'm going to pitch this jig in there and make one cast." I said, "All right." Well, the way I read the rule is the bait had to be moving. It said moving bait. So he pitches this jig in there, and he's just sitting there working it real slow, you know, like that. He reels up, and I give him a penalty. Second line.
So
penalty.
he's snagged already?
Yeah, he's already hung. He's already hung with a crankbait or something.
Yeah, gotcha.
Right? So he picks up a jig and fires in there to
you thought it had to be a moving bait, not a jig, so you gave him a penalty because it was
red moving bait.
Well,
okay. Listen. That's Don Rux.
Yeah.
So here's the story. I give him a penalty, and he says, I get one line in there. I said, I know, but it said it had to be a moving bait. And he says, what? And I said, I'll read his rule. It said it had to be a moving bait. I said, now, if that would have been a swim jig, I wouldn't give you a penalty. So he holds that jig up. He says, this is a swim jig. I said, no, it's not. It's a football head jig. You don't swim that. And anyway, I give him a minute penalty.
Wow. It's how you interpreted it, you know. I mean, honestly, it is what it is, you know.
That rule got changed because of me.
Well,
I went back and Brooks was on the bank, and at that time our chief boat official, H.C. Conkler, was on the bank, and Keith said something to him, and they're like, "What did you do?" And I said, "It said it was a moving bait. He wasn't moving it. He was just letting it sit there on bottom." So the next year they reworded that rule.
It's semantics are very important, you know, in life. And also in tournament bass fishing. So
yeah, well, I was Barney Fife, official, and
yes,
by God, read the rules the way they were written.
That's right. So, I appreciate that.
I'm kind of so much fun. This has been such a ride for me to sit back and think of how it started and being there with the evolution of the official to today. Tournament directing. As far as I'm concerned, some of the best anglers in the world. That's really, I don't get to sit back and think about that a lot because it's just very, very, very hectic. It's constant, but I'm very, very fortunate, very blessed. I'm living a dream job, believe me.
Yeah, me, I as well, my friend. Tell me. Tell me first, you started as a boat official. Tell me, like, some of your own stories of challenges of being a boat official. Of course, that you're willing to, talk about. But then, then talk about as a tournament director, what are some of the stories that you might have had? Again, I'm looking at myself in my camera, and it's just an atrocity what I have going on. I've got a super mullet. I'm trying to hide it behind my Major League Fishing hat here. I'm doing my best.
I'm going to tell you, you are a very sexy man.
I'm looking at my camera here. I am kind of digging. My wife's like, just go ahead, grow the beard out. It's super cold up here. Just grow it out, see what happens. So I might be looking like ZZ Top by the time we finally get to spring here. Oh, I guess there's more than one.
You could be, but I'm just saying. I'm very happily married and all that. But Greg, you're sexy. You're rocking the beard.
Oh, am
I making you feel uncomfortable now?
No, I
feel uncomfortable, especially anglers.
I've got a high tolerance. So you are sexy as well, my friend. So
okay.
Tell me something. So tell me the challenges of being, a boat official. And I'm sure you got stories. But then tell me, then you've transitioned to tournament director. I imagine it's a whole nother different set of challenges.
It is sort of the challenges that I noticed right off the bat were some of the anglers are. People may laugh at this, but I view professional bass anglers as athletes, okay, in a different way.
Okay, can I cut you off? Because if I don't do this right now, people are going to give me crap. So I've said that I've made fun of saying that professional fishermen are athletes. So Aaron and I may disagree here. I think that bass fishing is a sport, but I don't know if I'm going to go. So I'm not just going to. Because if I don't say something right now, I'm going to get called out for this, Aaron. So we might just have a disagreement.
That's good. we can agree to disagree.
Sure.
But I would like to share a beer with you sometime in a bar and tell you why I have developed that opinion.
Sure.
But aside from that, the intensity and the competition when you're 10 to 12 feet away from this angler in a boat you cannot, no matter what you think it's going to be, it's different. And Greg, I think you could probably attest to that. Maybe
sure.
If you make a wrong step in the boat and rock the boat just a little bit, depending on what angler you're with, you're fixing to get ripped.
Absolutely. And I don't blame them. And here's the thing, Aaron. I don't blame them at all. I try to be like a little mouse in the boat. And because I respect what they're trying to do, it's a stressful job, man.
Yeah. One of the anglers, actually Mark Rose, described it to me as the hunters can relate. If you're hunting, I can relate. In certain stressful situations, your senses amplify. Okay, you breathe differently. Your sensations amplify. Your eyesight actually can become a little bit more focused, or some people call it tunnel vision. But your hearing will intensify. Your sense of smell, and a lot of these anglers will be at this level when they're fishing a certain bait or doing a certain technique, and they're just they hear every single thing that goes on. If they're in a patch of lily pads, they're listening for brim to be popping, or fish to be moving, things like that. So whenever that sense of concentration is broke, they just come apart, and that could be a slamming of a lid in a boat. That could be an official moving around, rocking a boat. That could be an official asking a question or a cameraman asking a question. So the thing that surprised me most was the intensity of the professional angler. I fished as a co-angler FLW in 2011, and then I went and fished the Bass Opens, I think in 2012 and 2013, maybe 2012. Anyway, about run us bankrupt. I drove a Sutton, proved that I cannot compete at any level in bass fishing. So
I can't either. What's funny, not to cut you off. So before we start this podcast, I'm going to look up Aaron, Beshears major. I want to get his bio, right? So what happens now is that all the FLW information is now transferred to MajorLeagueFishing.com. So you search, so I fished BFLs 2002 and 2003, right?
Yeah.
And so I looked you up and I saw your tournament history, which you had we have similar tournament histories from the FLW days.
Well, let's just leave that at that.
Yeah, so it's funny that you brought that up.
Yeah, I fished BFLs. I was a wannabe, man. I'll admit I was a wannabe. Thought I could be, and proved that I couldn't.
I think you're being way too humble. I think you're being way too humble.
I fished a lot of BFLs and the opens back in the day. I don't know if you remember or not. Remember the PAA?
Yeah, I filmed some PAA stuff. Yeah, I filmed
that. PAA. Hey, this is an odd. A week ago, my phone rings and a number comes up I don't recognize, but it says PAA Tournament Director Randy. So I answered it, and it was the tournament. I had saved his number from years ago when I fished PAA, and we're going to be in Texas and his stopping ground. So he had a couple questions, but that ironic.
Oh, right on, yeah, for sure. So tell me, before I cut you off so rudely, you were talking about we were talking about anglers and the level of concentration, and
just the intensity.
Intensity of
it. The intensity was just it's unmatched.
So what for you, what was that like, especially as when you remember as a new boat official, and this is going to be interesting too to anybody that's interested in wanting to be a boat official. What was that like? Because it's got to be really interesting. I mean, so I remember when I first filmed Kevin Van Dam, this was in 2001. And dude, I was a nervous wreck, Now that's gone, that kind of feeling of, oh my God, like a little kid, oh my God, what am I going to, but initially I still remember how I felt. What was that like as a boat official for you? And then, getting through that, and then how you got into just a mode where you're like, okay, I've got a job to do. I got to drop the hammer sometime.
Well, I learned a long time ago that I can get by in life by bluffing with the best of them, and just full of crap, to be honest with you, and I made them. I was really nervous. I told you I was the very first angler I was ever with Keith Combs, and made that mistake with him. And the next couple of anglers I was with, I was a little bit nervous, but I really fell into a groove really quick. And I could tell that the anglers, they want confidence in an official. So I acted like I could care less who they are. Absolutely could care less. Just going to make the call. It is what it is. That's the way it's going to be. And I kind of learned that, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. And I don't blame them. I would too if I was an athlete. Underdahl, if I was a professional bass athlete angler, I would take a mile. If an angler asks a question, if you say, "Well, I think," there's your problem. They're going to jump all over.
That's right.
So what you have to say is the affirmative answer. It's this. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
No, yeah.
But I learned really quick. So I took that into my confidence. Sometimes it's not my best attribute, but it could be, I don't know, several different people have different opinions of it, but I'm very black and white. I treat all the anglers the exact same. I don't care who they are. You can ask any of them. I do treat them the same. So I took that mentality into being an official. And before I were long, I started noticing I was with what we're going to call the more intense anglers.
Okay.
The ones that will push the envelope.
Yep.
Versus the anglers that are more laid back and just kind of happy to be there and happy to be fishing. So I got to be with those anglers and built a pretty good reputation up, I think, of being fair, very black and white. And, and that's how I'm being the tournament director, to be quite honest with you. They it's like herding a bunch of cats in a room full of rocking chairs. What it's like.
That sounds like that sounds like a perfect Oklahoma saying right there.
Well, yeah, but I'm in Arkansas.
Oh crap! Why did that? So yeah, you're in Van. Are you in Van Buren? What's the name? Van Buren?
Which is 2 miles from Oklahoma. So
I mean, you're nearly in Oklahoma.
I have a little lake place, a little bitty cabin on Lake Tenkiller. So
I love Tenkiller's got some It's an
Great
Oklahoma
smallmouth.
smallmouth haven right there.
Yeah.
Beautiful lake, very clear.
But anyway, I took that very, very strict black and white mentality into being a tournament director, but yet I like to have fun with my guys too. I like to tease them. They like to tease me, but business is business. So I don't know if that answers your question.
No, for sure. I mean, it's important, and as I've gotten older, life is really short. Like, and it flies the older you get. And, it's important to do your job well, but it's important to also realize that life is, we all of us have shelf lives.
Yes. Live like there's no tomorrow, I say.
Yeah. And so it's do your job well, but also, you best have some fun too.
Let's have some fun. Like I said, live like there's no tomorrow. Hence, I have a little older Harley sitting here, and the other Harley's in the shop getting the engine rebuilt. I mean, I love Harleys. I like fishing. I like the outdoors. I don't know how many grills I've got, smokers. I love to cook. I love to have fun. I love to enjoy life. And that's one thing that Major League Fishing has given me is the ability to love life and love what I'm doing. I do not feel like it's a job at all. I've never dread getting into the nitty gritty of an event. I like the stress of it. I just feel right at home. So,
yeah, no, that's a great way to live, and I've always enjoyed being around you. You're my type of a human being. You're a humble guy. I say this probably a lot, maybe, but I say it because I mean it to people that I like being around. And you're bringing up that you like to grill. You're primarily, whenever I'd come in after a day on the water, I'd smell some meat cooking, and it was you, I think, that have that grill going as we all were kind of meeting up.
I've got one in my truck. If the trip there is part of the journey. So if I'm on the road going to a road motel, I'll have some steaks thawed out or something, some ice cold beer, and when we pull up in the road motel, I'll pull out the grill and start cooking. At the Bass Pro Tour event, unfortunately there's not quite that much time. I have other obligations to do, so I don't get to cook as much there. But at the Cups, there's just a 24 to 30 anglers there. It's a lot smaller venue, so I'm able to relax a little bit more and cook. I'll cook for the anglers, the officials, cameraman, whoever come through, I'll cook. But one thing I want to tell you, I learned very important in life a long time ago, Underdahl, and you need to live by this. If you surround yourself by excellence, you will succeed. Okay? So I've picked out certain people in my life in this organization that I view as excellent, and I've done my best to bring them closer to me. And it makes me appear that I'm doing a decent job when in all actuality it's the team that's doing it.
Well, again, your humility is a breath of fresh air, and you sound like every great CEO. They say the same thing. Whether they believe it or mean it or not, I don't know. I actually believe that you mean it. But it does seem to be a common. This is a common ingredient to success. Is that first of all, to people, people don't want to be around people that are cocky and arrogant and blah blah. So the fact that if you're humble and you surround yourself, just for a small example. So I'm the president of our Lakes Association. I live on a little lake here, Aaron.
Yeah, the one that's frozen right now.
It is, and it's getting more and more frozen as we speak here. It's getting thicker and thicker. I can drive. You could probably drive a semi on this thing. Loaded up with Walmart goods. It's fine.
More power to you. More power to you.
So, but yeah, if so as the president of our Lake Association, I've delegated. I've people that I really believe have a better clue than I do. Here, if you can help me with this, it's a no-brainer. Not one person can do everything. It's a wonderful management philosophy. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I learned that a long time back in law enforcement, especially on the SWAT team and dealing with certain operators and things of that nature.
Dude, you've told me some crazy stories.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know if we can go into those stories.
Probably not.
Or if you have one story or you one in particular. But to me, like, hearing what you've been through, like, it's like, yeah, Aaron can probably handle an angler, throwing a fit or whatever might happen as a tournament director.
I welcome that. That's just not an issue with me. If an angler throws a fit or has a situation.
Yeah, how has that prepared you, for MLF?
Ironically, I think it's helped me. I don't know if a lot of folks know this. It's interesting. It's a whole nother discussion outside itself, but we want a level playing field with our anglers. We utilize a polygrapher, lie detector guy, who's I deem one of the top 5 in the country. He's very high end, a polygraph examiner out of Maine. He's been involved in some very high, top secret level examinations, interrogations of people all over the country. Anyway, we utilize him to conduct our polygraph examinations. So he's a retired homicide detective. So Mark Tessino is his name. He and I have a great relationship, almost like we've worked together. I will tell you, just because a person doesn't do well on an examination always doesn't mean he's lying or she's lying. Always doesn't. So you have to dig and dig and dig and find out the reason why they didn't do well on that. Sometimes it means they're not being honest. Sometimes there's other issues. So he and I have a really good working relationship. I work very close with Mark, with our anglers, to make sure that it's a level playing field. So that in itself has helped me a lot. I've done a lot of that in my past career, a lot of interviews and interrogations and things. So that helps. Dealing with the type A personality. I don't care the most mildest angler you pick out of our group right now. I don't care who it is. I promise you they have a type A personality. I'm used to dealing with type A personalities and instructing them. In a large room, you get 80 guys in there. It can get, unless you control it, it can get a little bit stressful. So I'm just taking everything that I was given in law enforcement and the stressful situations and applying what I can into being a tournament director, as odd as that sounds.
No, I hear you. Speaking of challenges, last year was stupid challenging. I mean, I couldn't believe. I remember. So when was it? It was March. We were at Lake Fork. And then the sky fell on us. Like, you hear about the sky falling. Well, actually, the sky seemed to have fallen. Actually, like what? Like COVID came, and the world shut down. I mean, honestly, I personally believe that the whole COVID thing has been highly exaggerated. We don't need to get into the politics of anything like this, especially it seems right now there's such a crazy environment of if you challenge the COVID narrative, you're going to get silenced. At least it seems like social media, just in general, it's very chilling to me what's going on right now. But with that being said, just tell me how nuts last year was, just handling, being a tournament director, just for Major League Fishing, the organization in general. Well,
it was nuts, but I think for the entire country, it was nuts. And, we all have our own interpretations of COVID and all that, but and how that affected our families. But what's more important is how we handled it. We were given the deck of cards and we played them to our best of our ability. We were able to sacrifice. We did sacrifice a lot of things, but we're able to continue our year. One great thing with Major League Fishing is the anglers have a voice. They don't always get their way, but they have a voice. We do listen to them, and they wanted to do what was best for their families. So we reconstructed the payout schedule. In fact, they did. They reconstructed the payout schedule to where everybody gets a paycheck. So I look at the positive. There's so much negative about COVID, but there's some positive things too. We have learned as society to adapt to things that you would never imagine. I mean, look at how we conduct meetings now through Zoom.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think the world will ever be like it was pre-COVID.
I agree.
Which is a whole different discussion. But it was hectic. It was scary. More so scary for anglers. Losing sponsors and not knowing if they're going to have a job next year. So I hold that real close to my heart. But we got through it. We're getting through it this year, and we're going to come out on top.
I agree. And one thing I feel that we're really fortunate, Aaron, is being in an industry that seems to have potentially benefited from COVID in the fact that it's got, as crazy as that might seem. So I've told this story before. I was planning on getting a boat. I was like, 2020 is going to be my year. I get a new fishing boat. I sound like I live a very, comfortable life.
Sheltered?
Well, yes,
Sheltered?
that, yes. But also very comfortable. I'm very fortunate. I was like, okay, my wife and I have a pontoon. And so I was like, we need to pay off the pontoon first before I can get another fishing boat. I've been fishing out of a kayak for 10 years. And I'm like, I need to have a fishing boat, And so my favorite boats are bass boats. But living up here, it's like bass boats are pretty limiting, so I'm like, I went with the quintessential Minnesota deep V boat, where I could do kind of everything out of it, right? But I wanted
Al Linder type boat.
An Al Linder.
So you remind me of one of his brothers right now. I can't remember his name.
Ron passed away last year. Those guys, both Al and Ron, had a tremendous. In fact, they were the In Fisherman Magazine. Their television show was really helped fuel my fire for fishing. So, and just like Bob Cobb did with the Bassmasters, but
Ray Scott.
Yeah, Ray Scott, exactly. So, where the hell was I going with this? What was I talking about, Aaron? So, yeah, I remember now.
Your boat. You're wanting to get a boat. You got an Al Linder boat.
Yeah, so I've got an Al Linder boat, and so I was planning on getting a boat. Like once I was going to pay off the pontoon in spring, and then I was going to get my Al Linder boat, right?
Yep.
Well, and then COVID hit. And I'm like, and then like shoots just dried up for 2 months. And I'm like, oh my God. But I didn't know how long they were going to dry up at first, And so, and then they came back online. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to look. I think I'm feeling better about how things are going, right? Looks like we got the rest of a Major League Fishing schedule going. And I was like, okay, this is, I think I'm going to get a boat. Well, I tried to get a boat, dude. And there was nothing. There was no inventory. Everything had sold. There was nothing in the showroom. So I had to get a boat built, and now it's frozen in my driveway, completely frozen, not even winterized. And so
that's an oxymoron.
Right. Yeah.
It's frozen in your driveway, not even winterized.
I don't even know what that means. Any of that. It's way over my head. So. So the crazy thing is that I think we're fortunate in that, like, we're in an industry that actually might, like, this is like the original social distancing sport,
Yes.
And it's actually gotten people out on the water. They don't have to be around anybody. And I'm hopeful, I don't know this for certain, but I think the indicators is that COVID has actually, in a strange way, has actually been good for fishing.
I understand exactly what you're saying, and I agree with you. That's one of the positives that I have taken out. I'll try to turn every negative into a positive. As bad as COVID is, one thing that it has forced society to do is that wouldn't have otherwise is to get out in God's country, get out in nature, whether it be hiking, whether it be hunting, whether it be fishing, and just get out. And as a result of that, the outdoor industry, has grown. It's hard you can go to an Academy or Walmart, look at the tackle that's not on the shelves now. It's I don't understand everything there. We have, sponsor issues and guys are losing sponsors, yet the industry's growing. I don't really understand that, but the taken from it, what I was saying about as bad as COVID is, it has helped the fishing industry. It's just forced people to do something that they wouldn't normally have done. I know we've gained fans from it, surely.
Good. Well, hopefully, when we come out the end of this thing, whenever that's going to be, that we're going to be in better shape than most industries. Fingers crossed.
I think we're both fortunate. I think a lot of us are fortunate to be in the outdoor industry, work for such a great company. That look at the industries that were impacted. Look at all the people that lost their jobs, not to mention the lives lost to COVID. So it's a heck of a day, man. It's a weird time. I never in a million years imagined that this would have happened. Can you? I mean,
no. It's so bizarre, dude. I saw a video yesterday of a classroom that just got, the school just paid like millions of dollars to kind of retrofit their classrooms. And the whole classroom, dude, like all of the desks, plexiglass up on the sides, plexiglass. So every desk of 28 students, 30 students had desks with plexiglass. And so this teacher was like, this is what it's going to feel like to sit in one of these desks. And it's just like everybody's in this little cell, And I'm like, how it's so bizarre, dude. It's so bizarre to be living in this.
Can you imagine the generation that's going to grow up in this that doesn't know any different?
I mean, I'll if I'm being honest, dude, which I try to be honest, that's kind of what I try to do.
You try to be honest. Okay. Underdahl, you sound like a criminal.
I honestly try to be honest.
I'm trying to be honest with you. I know you're trying to be, but you're not.
Hey, are you interrogating me right now?
I'm not. I'll neither.
An ex-homicide detective is interrogating me right now. Ladies and gentlemen.
I'll neither confirm nor deny.
Have you somehow hooked up a polygraph to me right now?
Do what? I don't have to hook up a polygraph to you, Underdahl. You'd be one. I talked so many people out of taking lie detectors tests in my career. It's not even funny.
Is the lie detector kind of a last resort when you're a detective?
No, it's just a tool. There's a lot of tools.
I hear you.
In the toolbox. There's a lot of tools in that toolbox.
I've heard stories. We've talked many a mile down the road.
Back in the day, it's so different. It's just so different. Back when I was doing it, I had the ability to make determinations based on the current situation, and always going to jail wasn't really the answer on certain situations, not all of them, but going to jail was obviously a answer to some things too. But nowadays, and I don't even want us to get into this, but with the way society is, I mean, it's a certain way, and if the officers don't abide by what the book says, and then there could be repercussions, and some of this deservedly so. There's been some tragedy in society recently. I hate watching the news anymore.
Yeah, I hear you. It's a strange time.
Let's talk about good stuff, though. Let's talk about fun.
Let's do that. So now let's talk
about your beard.
You know what's funny? I know. Isn't that something? And the thing is, I'm 45 now, Aaron, and I got more and more gray. I'm starting to look more and more like Cody Prather, one of our veteran cameramen. He's got a Thundercat beard, which is I'm developing if anybody knows the old cartoon from the 80s, Thundercats, that was one of my favorite cartoons. You know what I'm talking about when I say Thundercat. These were human cat hybrids that had they had hair like my beard is looking. You really guys need to check out our video podcast to see this. We're going to be putting the full podcasts on our YouTube channel, Angling Uploaded. I've determined that we need to put the full podcast up there. So you'll see my
Club for Men.
I'm going to start, at some point, I always thought when I was younger like that, I would be like, I am not going to never do anything like that. It's stupid. Color your hair, color your beard, just age gracefully. And more, I'm like, I could see how I could do that. You know,
I could care less personally. I don't give a crap. I don't care if all my hair were to fall out. I just don't care.
yeah. Well, I mean, if you could see,
low maintenance.
The reality is I'm pretty damn low maintenance. I mean, I threw on this outfit, you know, because I knew that we're actually gonna do this earlier than originally planned. I'm like, I'm just gonna throw that on. This shirt will work. I'm put a Major League Fishing hat on. This will be fine. You know,
yeah.
But my wife is like, she's got to be so annoyed. Like, whenever we go out, I wear the same pair of blue jeans.
I would be annoyed if I was your wife as well.
Yeah, I kind of let myself be open for that one. But you wanted to talk about funny stuff. So tell me some funny stories of being a Major League boat official first and now as a tournament director.
Wow. What's this show rated?
It's anything goes, man. Now, if you say anything like maybe I can put a disclaimer or a parental disclaimer in front of this. I mean, I want these podcasts, I've said this before, and obviously we got to protect our jobs. So there's that limiting factor here, of course. But, I do want this to be, I want you to feel comfortable, but only as comfortable as, I don't want you to feel, of course, feel like your job might be in jeopardy.
Underdahl. Man, I don't know where to start. I like to have fun. I'll tell you a recent story. Maybe you've heard about it. I don't know. Did you hear about? We had an unfortunate incident at the last event that we were in where there was a theft in the parking lot. And did you hear anything about me? About me possibly finding the suspect?
No, I haven't heard. We have an exclusive here. This is an exclusive to another fishing podcast. You're hearing this for the first time. Aaron Beshears, MLF Tournament Director, take it away.
This is just, you can't make this kind of crap up type deal. I'm telling off on myself, but it just kind of shows you. I got away from law enforcement in 2010. I want nothing to do with it anymore. So we go into this event. Unfortunately, we had a theft in the parking lot, and had multiple, couple, 2 or 3 little incidents in the parking lot. And, I looked at surveillance footage with the security guard there and saw a suspect vehicle. So I totally went into cop mode, working with the local authorities there, and walk out of the hotel room one morning and lo and behold, see what I think is possibly suspect vehicle. So I go over to it. I'm taking pictures of it. And I look down at our boat yard where we have our league boats, and here comes what really looks like a suspect vehicle. I say it's just slithering through our boat yard, driving real slow. And I text the security guard on site and said, "Hey, head my way to the parking lot. I think I might have a suspect here."
And this was after the initial break-ins. This is okay.
Yeah. Can't believe you hadn't heard about this. So this dude rolls by me, and he's got the seat leaned way back, and he's got mirrored sunglasses on, kind of bald-headed, and he gives me the peace sign. So I thought, okay. So I walk up to him.
You know a perp, man, when you see one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, as you're going to see by the end of the story. So I walk up to him, and I'm trying to just catch him off guard. And he rolls down the window. He's like, "What's up, man?" I said, "Hey, man, I thought you was a friend of mine named Robert or something." I'm just BSing him, And I said, "Are you not Robert?" And he goes, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Are you not Robert?" And I said, "This looks just like Robert's car." So I run to the back of the car, and I take a picture of the license plate, run up back there, and he starts to drive off a little bit faster. And he says, "I'm in a hurry. I got to go." I said, No, hold on. I got somebody I want you to talk to. So he's like, "No, I'm in a hurry. I got to go." So he takes off. I don't know what happened to me, Underdahl. I don't know. It's like you had a chain hooked to my chest. I immediately full-blown foot chase after this car. I don't know what I would have done with it if I'd have caught him. I don't know. I would never have thought that I would have done that, but I did. And I yell, "Hey!" He slams the brakes on and sticks his head out the window. And I am, as you can see, I'm not in the best shape anymore.
You look great.
Oh, well, thank you. But I'm huffing and puffing. And he's like, "I didn't know you could run that fast."
He said that?
I didn't either. And I'm bent over like that, waiting for the security guy to come out. And the guy pulls his sunglasses off, and it's one of our producers, Tettenhorst. He said, "Do you not recognize who I am, Mr. Tettenhorst? One of our producers."
Are you kidding me?
I can't make this up.
Mike Tettenhorst was the guy that you were chasing after in the car.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
In a rental car.
So Mike Tettenhorst, it's so funny. So Mike is you know what's great about this story? What's so great about this story?
Yeah, tell me.
Mike Tettenhorst is the voice of another fishing show, another fishing podcast. Yes.
I'm sure Tettenhorst will have some things to add to this story. Whether they're true or not, I'm not going to admit to. But I thought I had him, man, lock, stock, and barrel. Chase our producer through the parking lot.
Oh my goodness. So I thought you had actually found the guy and you were going to apprehend the guy, and it turns out that it's the voiceover genius of another fishing show, another fishing podcast, Mike Tettenhorst, who, if you didn't know this, Aaron, Mike and Randy and I and Ken Langeth, he's a new we all started at Bass Pro Shops. That's where we all that's Randy. All of us worked at Bass Pro Shops at one time together. Yep. So that's pretty crazy. So that's why I had that's why Mike. I knew he's got a great. But that's hilarious. I don't condone
my actions. I wouldn't do it again. I had no business chasing that car.
I'm glad you're okay.
I could have got myself in a really bad situation. So live and learn. I made a mistake. But it was funny.
Were you able to actually find the perpetrators at all, or is there any or?
I wasn't, but I worked a good relationship up with the local authorities there, and they're on it, and believe they got it resolved. So
well, good to hear. Well, I know that, like we said earlier, you got a lot going on and preparing for, heck, we got a season about to get in full swing. We got REDCREST, and then we got the Bass Pro Tour. We got the Cup events. Tell me about this season coming up. You can just kind of give a broad overview of it. Anything that bodies of water that you're particularly looking forward to. Just tell me about this season coming up.
I'm looking forward to all of them. You know, this is my second year going into being a tournament director, so I'm still learning some by mistake, but I try not to make the same mistake twice. But I have worked with production, worked with our angler representatives. We have 8 angler representatives that are the voice for all of our anglers, and the anglers, they're elected by our anglers. So I work close with them to go through any tweaks we need to do to our rules, any gaps that they felt were there, any word clarifications. Been doing all that, getting fixed to turn in our new rules out for the season, probably within a week. Went over the events that we may possibly enact our trailering policy just for safety, which is another that's unprecedented for this level of professional fishing, is have the ability to trailer.
Well, yeah, go through that a little bit, but that's because we saw that on, I think it was Sturgeon Bay, wasn't it, where that really came into play. And I got to tell you, as a person that loves documenting kind of the behind the scenes of fishing, because I did some cool stuff with Jordan Lee in the back. You know, I'm sitting in the back of his truck and filming and just seeing him kind of make some adjustments. You know, we bailed on a body. We bailed on an area and went to another area, and he had to trailer. And to see what was amazing about that particular situation is, like, he never spun out. You know, he's like, all right, we'll just go another area. And it's cool to document that. We haven't seen that before, right?
No, we haven't seen it at this level. You have probably been involved in trailering tournaments before, but you couldn't trailer. To my knowledge, you couldn't trailer after you unloaded at the lower weekend style series trailer events I've been involved in. But anyway, nevertheless, having the certified MLF official in the boat, there's no different than the angler, in my opinion, driving the boat to move locations or driving his truck to move locations.
I agree.
As long as he's following the rules. No different.
Yeah.
So there are certain venues to where it's just so dangerous to make a boat run, such as Sturgeon Bay. So we enacted our trailering policy where the anglers, they would meet at a host ramp, pick up the cameraman, the official, and they would leave the parking lot at a certain time, just like a boat blast off, and have, I think I give them an hour to get to where they're going, and then another 30 minutes on top of that to launch their boat and get to their fishing spot. And throughout the day, if they don't like how the event's going, they can load up their vehicle and load up their boat on the trailer and change locations. I'll tell you how we didn't do that in 2019. We let them trailer one time and they unloaded. Then they had to take their boat, if you'll remember, and make a run, right?
Yeah.
Well, several anglers came to me when I was elected as tournament director in 2020 and said, it really doesn't make sense. It's nice in the morning to trailer, but if I don't land on the juice, I'm going to make a run through the swells and get to where I need to go to catch fish. Then I got to get back to my trailer. So why can't we? Well, I got to thinking about it. Why can't they?
That's right. It's a great move. Great move.
So we allowed them to do it. It does make for some really interesting shots of the anglers driving their truck.
They
have to really watch their speed. That little stat unit that we use, how we monitor all that in the comm center, we see their speeds too.
Yeah, so talk about that a little bit. So people know, like, if you're watching Major League Fishing, you see an outboat shot, so you see this whole angler's boat, and you see on the back of their boat there's this gray like pelican case. What is in that, Aaron?
I can't get real descriptive on exactly what is in that, but that is called a stat unit, and it gives us the ability to do what we do, to run score tracker, to effectively run live, and one thing that
and see exactly where the anglers are.
See exactly where the anglers are.
And if they're moving, I think you
little
see
green dots. Little green dots. It gives their miles per hour. So that's how we effectively do the camera transfers. If I'm a chaos boat driver and Randy White says, I want to go grab Greg Underdahl and move him, all I do is type in the name of the angler that Underdahl's with, that you're with, Greg, and it'll pull up his exact location. And I go straight to you and then type in the location of the angler that we're going to put you with, that's on fish, and we can do it in a matter of minutes. So it's really, really effectively and efficiently changed our game, that unit.
Yeah, no, it's really awesome. Like I said, to be a bass fishing fan and to see the technology get to this point where it's like, okay, now we're getting to a point where we can really cover this sport the way it needs to be covered. Because you have such an expansive playing field. As we've talked earlier about how the challenges of weather can really play into that too. But
God forbid something happened to an angler or anybody in the boat. We know exactly where they are. The great thing about the system that we use is it will give you the closest address. So if the official with his score tracker unit can go to a different little icon and type in an address, type in a certain number, and it'll pull up the closest address he's at. So if he were to have to call 911, he can say, I'm at this address, which it'll give the nearest house address that he's at. So it really has changed our playing field, changed the level to the next level in professional fishing, but the sky's the limit. Man.
Yeah, it's exciting. Speaking of sky's the limit, so REDCREST, we got REDCREST coming up. So correct me if I'm wrong, but REDCREST, my understanding of REDCREST is going to be Major League Fishing's top. It's going to be their premier event, right?
It's going to be the Super Bowl of bass fishing.
That's right, exactly. Yes. So it's the Super Bowl of bass fishing. So it's exciting to see the evolution. We're at the beginning stages of the development of REDCREST, I believe. But what I'm excited about is seeing how REDCREST develops and how it grows, and to be a part of the very beginning of it is very exciting to me. So tell me a little bit about REDCREST, and then what you're looking for as far as, is there any venues at the Bass Pro Tour you're particularly looking forward to?
Well, in retrospect to REDCREST, pre-COVID, we really were going to knock it out of the park this year. As you know, we were going to be on Grand Lake and have a tremendous expo. We had the things that we had planned, that the league had planned, rather not me, but the league had planned for our expo, have never been done in bass fishing. The opportunity for fans to interact, our children is our future. It's so important. The things that we had lined out, we couldn't wait for, but unfortunately, several sponsors, corporate companies were not allowed to attend. So, it was a no-brainer to, we didn't want to go in with a watered down REDCREST, right? So it was a no-brainer to just back up for a minute, have our event. We did move venues, move our event, and then move forward in 2022 with a REDCREST that will knock it out of the park, hosted in Tulsa, Oklahoma at our home base on Grand Lake.
And just, when I lived in Tulsa, I lived in Tulsa for 4 years, and when I lived there, I'm like, God, it's like this would be such a great venue. When I lived there between, let's see, it was 2005 to 2009, and I'm like, God, this is a perfect venue for a Bassmasters Classic. That you have you've got the BOK Center there now, which was being built when I lived there, and then finally, about the time when I left, it was finished. Saw a 9 Inch Nails concert there. It was off the chain, man.
Saw Kid Rock there.
And but then I thought, it's like, yeah, there you go, ba with the ba, da bang boogie, something like that. So, you've got Keystone Lake, you got Grand Lake, you got Fort Gibson not too far away. There's bodies of water there that are great bodies of water that you could have. When I lived there, I'm thinking the Classic could come there. You've got wonderful bass fishing history, and now to see, like Tulsa is the headquarters of Major League Fishing. It's exciting to me. That's a great venue. It's like, of course you have a Super Bowl of bass fishing there. Of course it's perfect.
It's perfect. I wish we could have had it this year, but we couldn't. So we're going to just make what is going to be next year's REDCREST that much better. Have a lot more time to plan. Have some really exciting things too that we're going to offer for fans and everybody. Every outdoor type sport, hunting and archery, all kinds of things are going to be encompassed into our REDCREST Expo. So
awesome!
It's worth taking your little bit of vacation around and coming to it. The other side of the events that I'm looking forward to be honest with you, I don't know that this is the answer you're looking for, but I just look to each of them as an operation, and to do what I can to make them successful. I look forward to traveling the country and seeing some of the most beautiful land all around our country. But right now, our current REDCREST that's going to be held in Texas is numero uno on my mind. How we're going to get there and pull that off. And then aside from that, stage one, we're going into Sam Rayburn out of Jasper, Texas. That's next on my list. So I kind of just break them down like that. I just have a hard time pulling. I think this event's going to be better. Or this one's going to be better. The anglers, they're known to whine a little bit.
Sure. So are camera guys.
That's a whole nother story. But the thing about when anglers come to me, it's like, I can't believe we're going to go here. We're not going to catch any fish. I promise you, there's going to be a winner.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I promise you, there's going to be a winner at every event. So that's kind of how I look at it. It's play the field you're given.
That's right.
You're a golfer, and it rained, and the greens are more wet than you had practiced on. Then deal with it.
That's exactly right.
Same thing with the football. That's how I look at it.
I couldn't agree more. I feel the same way. I think challenges can make for, as a video guy, I think challenges can make for a better storyline. So I know these anglers want to catch
men from boys.
Say that again.
It separates the men from boys.
Yeah, and honestly, I think it makes for a better product. I think it makes for a better TV show. And I was thinking about this in South Carolina. Seeing guys struggle, seen professional anglers struggle. There's a lot of guys watching the show that can identify with the struggle. And,
you know why? It's because it's reality. It's as simple as that. It's reality. Back when I was fishing tournaments, the BFL series, you're given certain dates, you show up and you fish the conditions. And although, we try to pick the best venues and where the most fish catches are going to be done, you got to fight Mother Nature. And you just deal with that challenge. You work the problem, and you roll on.
That's exactly right. Well, I'm going to allow you to roll on. Do you like that segue? I'm getting very good at this.
I want you to know that the number of anglers that has texted me with questions that I have just put them off. I have put them off because you are still at the top of my priority list.
You're talking about quite a number of anglers you have brushed off. I'm talking the top anglers.
Ghosted.
AB. I call Aaron Beshears AB. AB has brushed the top anglers off so he can.
I'm called a lot of things, Aaron, and then some other things we won't discuss. But the top anglers of the nation have asked me a few questions, and I've got to get back to them. But you're at the higher of my list than they are. You're higher on my list than they are.
Well,
know that.
I am deeply honored, Aaron. And no, I really, honestly, I do really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. We've had a little window here, but I love the conversation with you. I've enjoyed all our conversations. I knew this would be awesome when we finally did this. It took me a while to figure out the software. And get on my camera. I was kind of moving at a glacial pace to finally get this going. But here we are, Aaron. We made it happen. One of the greatest fishing podcasts, I believe, we've just recorded in history.
Stop it. I don't believe that for a minute, Underdahl. I'm a human lie detector. I've seen some of the guests you've had on here.
Can you see some tells? Can you see some tells right now?
I'll see some red flags. I'll just say that. See some red flags. Some of our best conversations happened in my truck on our way back after the competition day. The anglers had already competed, and I wish some of that stuff would have been recorded. In the same breath, I'm glad some of it wasn't.
Yes, definitely. And by the way, I was thinking about this. I know I got to let you go here, but I was thinking about this too. Tell Randy White. Randy's the head producer of the television show. Randy, got to do behind the scenes show. It would be a great show, even if it's just for the internet. Behind the scenes shows showing what the Major League Boat officials are going through and the cameramen. That behind the scenes story, because that's a great story too. There's easily a TV show there.
There's easily a reality show there, that's for sure. But there's a lot of opportunities with Major League Fishing and behind the scenes. But man, I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to do this. I've looked forward to it, and I'll be glad to come on. If you want to sit here and listen to me ramble on, I'll be glad to do it.
Oh, for sure. I would love to have you on.
Breath of fresh air.
Yeah, you're one of my favorite individuals, man. So you are always welcome to hop on Skype, and all I got to do is just turn on 3 lights, hit record, and we'll do it. So thanks again, Aaron.
Thank you so much, Greg.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate
and I guess
it,
I'm going to see you in Texas just right around the corner, aren't I?
I know. You're going to see my hairy face, and you'll probably see me. You'll probably see me next Saturday if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe.
Maybe. All right, brother. Thank you, Aaron. Really appreciate it, dude.
All right, buddy. Take care.
You too.